Imagine that you have just completed your 6th year of graduate work and have earned your PhD in astronomy. With that, you go and begin to collect data for the company that you're working for. And then suddenly, a satellite passes through the field of vision of your telescope and contaminates the hours of data that you have been collecting. This is the issue that astronomers are facing. There are, on average, 100 satellites that are launched per year, according to a recent survey done by Statistica.com. With each new satellite that is launched, it further improves our society that we live in. Improved satellites allow for us to gather better information about climate change, weather patterns, and also allows us to improve the internet. However, there is an issue with the continuous launching of satellites. They interfere with important data that astronomers are trying to collect. Satellites reflect light from the sun, so when a satellite passes through the field of vision of a telescope, the data that astronomers are collecting becomes invalid. First, I will address the importance of satellites in our everyday society, followed by the issues that astronomers are running into relating to the satellites. Finally, discussing some of the solutions to the issue that are being researched, which will show the best approach to solving this issue. Satellites are extremely important to our society. In an article written by the Union of Concerned Scientists, they explain that satellites are used for television, telephones, navigation, business and finance, communication, weather, climate and environmental monitoring, and safety. Additionally, satellites are also used for data collection and internet, which is also vital to the continuous improvement of society. Furthermore, satellites actually help astronomers with some of the data collection because they need, for example, internet to continue collecting their data. The biggest issue that astronomers are having with satellites is that with so many satellites that are in orbit or on the verge of going into orbit, it means that there are a lot of satellites in space. All of these satellites are coming together to create mega constellations of satellites, which contaminate the vital data that astronomers are trying to collect, explains Alexander Weitz. However, once this issue was brought to the attention of large space corporations such as NASA and SpaceX, the space corporations began to work to try to find a solution to the problem that worked for both sides. One of the most important details about this argument is that the large space corporations are actively trying to help the astronomers. It is also important to be aware of the fact that astronomers and satellite companies are reasonable people, meaning I'm presenting some of the viable solutions that are underway and some of the solutions that could use a bit more work. From this, I hope to convey the best way to approach and try to solve this problem. The first solution that is usually brought up is scheduling times around when the satellites will pass through the field of vision of astronomers' telescopes. In my opinion, this is the first step or the first way that astronomers should go when trying to find a solution. Alexandra Weitz wrote an article titled SpaceX Tests Black Satellite to Reduce Mega Constellation Threat to Astronomy. In what she explains, if telescope operators know precisely when a satellite will appear and at what time, they can swivel the telescope to point at a different part of the sky that does not have a satellite in it. Now, with all the satellites that are currently in orbit, it can be hard to keep track of them all. However, when a satellite is launched, they are required to register it so that the government can track it. Explains an article called The Department of Commerce, Address Privacy Before Licensing Satellites to Watch Over Us. This is beneficial to astronomers because they are able to obtain the satellite records and track where all the satellites are, meaning they can schedule times where there will not be any satellites that will pass through the field of vision. Another solution that SpaceX, which is the main space corporation that is actively working with astronomers, came up with was creating and launching more low-orbit satellites. Low-orbit satellites are satellites that are in orbit below 373 miles. This reduces the amount of reflection that the satellites get from the sun. In addition, these low-orbit satellites will offer better internet connections, which will benefit everyone. There really aren't very many downsides to low-orbit satellites, which is why they're being seen more frequently. The addition of visors to satellites is another solution that SpaceX is currently working on. However, this approach is one that astronomers should not immediately run to. According to Morgan Johnson, author of SpaceX just launched 57 new Starlink satellites with sun visors to make them less bright. The addition of these visors will cut down on the reflection from the sun, if put in the right places. This idea is one that has sparked some controversy, though, because some are skeptical as to whether or not this will work. Scientists say that it will reduce the reflections to an extent, but it won't stop them from interfering with astronomers' data. However, even if this is not a plausible solution yet, it still relates back to the fact that major space corporations are trying to help astronomers find a solution. It is absolutely vital for astronomers and satellite companies to come together to try to find a solution. Satellite companies understand the need for astronomers, and astronomers understand the need for satellites. I hope that it is clear how many steps that are being taken to try to find the best approach to the solution. I also hope that it is clear how much the major space corporations are trying to help astronomers. For example, once SpaceX heard their complaints, they immediately got into contact with astronomers to discuss ways that could fix the problem. A quote from a SpaceX engineer says, "SpaceX is absolutely committed to finding a way forward so our Starlink project doesn't impede the value of the research you all are undertaking." Additionally, I understand that there are no perfect solutions yet. There are downsides to some of the solutions that I presented. Unfortunately, some sacrifices may have to be made until we can find the perfect solution so that satellites and astronomers can work in harmony. The reality is we're not going to be getting rid of satellites. Instead, we can focus on what solutions would work best for solving the issue. Currently, SpaceX is working extremely hard to try to find a solution to this problem because they have plans to launch a huge fleet of satellites in the near future. This huge fleet of satellites is the Starlink project. As they know that this will have negative effects on astronomers and the data, they are actively researching ways to help eliminate the issues. Astronomers are vital to helping us improve our society and our future. They study and research the big unknown questions about Earth, such as how did our universe begin, or how did it end, or how will it end? The data that they collect is very important, but so are satellites. With that being said, I hope you can see why we need both satellites and astronomers in our society. I also hope that you can see all the steps that the major space corporations have taken to try to find solutions so that both satellites and astronomers can do their job. There is no need to get rid of satellites if astronomers and satellite companies come together to try to find a solution, which is currently what they're doing. I understand that we have not yet found the perfect solution, but we have taken major steps in the right direction. One of the questions I received regarding my issue was if I think that astronomers are going to become obsolete. And I don't think they will, because with our society, we're continuing to move forward. And we need astronomers to do that. We need astronomers and their data to help us learn more about the planets in our near future. We can't do that without them. So even though there are hundreds of satellites being launched every year, and there's going to be more and more, we're still going to need the astronomers, which is why these space corporations are working so hard to try to find a solution. So thank you. And I guess the other questions I already answered in my speech, so thank you.